This is a continuation with the mental health awareness series. Today we're going to be talking about travel and how travel is actually a state of mind. And I'm going to be joined by the bilingual travel journalist, Jeanette. You probably know her by Jet Set with Jeanette. And she just made it to her 60th country. So she'll be telling us about that and how we can make travel part of our quarantine experience just by or a little walk around our own neighborhood, seeing it with new eyes. So thank you guys for joining us. Hey!
Hi!
What's up? We did it.
We did it. Sorry, it's having technical difficulties.
Well, you look great.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Okay. Yeah, me too. So we're just going to send really good vibes that the clarity happens and that we can actually just go for it. Okay, cool.
All right.
So Jeanette, you're an award-winning bilingual travel journalist, and you just got back from Egypt where you spoke at the, what was the event called? It was the Women's Economic Forum?
Yes, it was the Women Economic Forum, yes. And they have them all over the world, and in March, I was able to go, I speak a lot about travel, women, and diversity. So I got to go, and it was just before everything started to close and everything started to escalate around the world. Yes.
Wow. So you got in that trip to Egypt in the last minute and no coronavirus scares?
You know what's funny? No, thank goodness. Do you know what's funny is when I actually went to Egypt, they were checking people's temperatures and making them fill out public health forms. And this was like way early March before it was officially a pandemic. So they were kind of on top of it in Egypt.
Yeah, yes. Good for them. Yeah. Okay. So 60 countries. Can you list all of them for us right now? Well, do you want to just tell us? I don't think most people can list 60 countries.
Yeah, well, I have to say, I started really young. I started when I was 6 months old. So my parents are originally from Mexico, and I had my passport since I was 6 months old. So I was a little roly-poly. And I would say Mexico was my first international country. And it just started when I was 12. I went to Europe for the first time. It was my grandmother's last wish. She had dialysis. She was going to have dialysis, and her one big wish was to see the Vatican because she was super duper Catholic. Wow. And for her, that was like her ultimate bucket list. So it just opened my eyes to how big this world, big and beautiful, this world really is.
Yeah, that's incredible. And so that's so wonderful that she was able to have that bucket list wish, that you were able to go with her to the Vatican. Yes. Wow. I have to say, I've never been to the Vatican, would love to. Yeah. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Keep sending good vibes for the technology. Everyone who's on here, keep it up.
Yes.
We need the vibes. Okay.
Definitely.
So, Jeanette, how did you and I originally meet? Do you remember?
Great question, Benjamin. That's a great question. I feel like it was through meditation, maybe. Possibly.
Yeah, it must have been because we ran into each other at the thanks Janelle for the good vibes. We ran into each other at the and Rising Sun also. You guys are great. We ran into each other at the Dreamcatchers District dinner in LA.
That is right. Yes. Oh, you see, your memory is way better than mine. Yes, we did.
I remember that we definitely Yeah, and I think we had already been interacting online before that. But I think that was the first time we really met.
Yeah, I was already a fan of yours. Like I was already I think following you, and I was already a fan of your work. So I think when we finally were able to meet, it was at Karen's Dreamcatchers event. And I was like, oh my gosh, I know you, but you didn't know me. So it was kind of fun. And you were just even more amazing than, I could have expected. So it was great.
Yeah, that was super fun. And then we actually ran into each other at a travel event I
Yes.
was doing the meditation for the Grand Velas in Cabo,
Yes.
and but it was in LA,
Yeah.
um, and so we were able to hang out again there.
Yeah, it was really cool how we could combine the meditation, and you brought the meditation, wellness, and they brought the travel aspect to it. So it really combined two of my favorite things. So when I found out you were going to be, doing this with Cabo San Lucas, I was like, done deal. I am there. So yeah. It was great.
You cut out there for a second.
And I'm sorry for
You
having
cut
a
out for
little
a second.
technical difficulties.
Oh, I think that this is par for the course with Instagram Live. So we're just going to try to send that clear vibe through so that we can open it back up.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so for people who are, okay, so you just came back. Oh, and then you froze again, but I think you're back. Okay, so for people who are at home, we're sheltering in place. Travel sounds really wonderful. You mentioned before that travel is a mindset. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes. I believe just like wealth, just like abundance, just like many other things, that travel is a mindset. Now, when you say travel or I say travel, it can mean something completely different for every person. But in my mind, we are travelers the moment we leave our front doors. So we don't necessarily have to get on a plane or a cruise or go far. I think it's just getting out of our home, whether that's a walk in a neighborhood or nowadays under lockdown, maybe going to the grocery store, things like that. I mean, we can make it, an adventure. We don't have to go the same route, for example. So yeah, I really feel travel is a mindset, so much that I started to do workshops for women because I had a lot of women coming up to me for years to say, I want to travel, but I'm scared. And I would say, okay, what are you scared of? Are you scared of being alone and traveling, like physical safety? Or are you just scared of being on your own, like in your own company? Because those are like two different things. And I can definitely help you with one. I can, help you with understanding that travel will, it's a mindset. Like you just have to be cautious and mindful wherever you go. And if you're going to go to a country that you don't know the language, you don't know anybody, I would always say preparation is key. So for example, when I went to Egypt, I researched, as a woman, what was, what was the culture like? I wanted to be very respectful and mindful. And I think that every time I traveled alone, I always, if anybody were to ask me, hey, are you alone? I would say, no, I'm here visiting the prime minister, the president, whoever. I mean, because really no one needs to know why you're traveling or if you're alone or not. I think that it's really important to be just always on top of it when you're traveling.
Mm-hmm. And you were technically visiting the president when you were in Egypt.
Technically, it was under the hospice of the president. Yes, that's very true. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've seen a couple of the different like news clips. You're a journalist, so you do like a lot of TV and that kind of thing. I've seen things where I've seen a lot of really interesting things that you've done. Talking, I saw a few different things that you did about Egypt, and I also have seen you give tips, like travel tips, like how to pack your suitcase, like and how
Yeah.
to get through security efficiently, things like that.
Yeah.
And I actually think that's super helpful because for me, when I travel internationally, that sometimes is the biggest pain, is
Yes.
the airport.
Yes, some people like it, some people don't. And I think, again, preparation is the best thing. So, for example, your carry-on, if if I can, I always try to travel with just a carry-on, like if I can. But if I can't, then I will pack an emergency outfit in the carry-on always. If you're going somewhere tropical, I always put the bikini in there. If you're going to a wedding, put the bridesmaid dress or whatever tuxedo in the carry-on. Whatever is valuable, put it in the carry-on because things do happen. Checked in luggage gets lost or, unfortunately, stolen or whatever. So it's always good to have emergency in your carry-on, and just anything that could keep the process going. So if you have anything that maybe TSA, like it looks like anything metal, or batteries or liquids, it's always good to prepare, because that's only going to slow you down in the security process and all that. So yeah. Hi, Sarah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's really, really good. So, and I'm the same way. I try to travel only with a carry-on. I've got my nice little carry-on. I know how to pack it. It's a roller. I have like this like black plastic Calvin Klein roller that I just like cram with everything that I'm gonna need. Uh,
Yes.
as much as I can, like you said, if possible.
Oh,
So
thank
I
you,
would love
Miguel.
to hear.
Sarah.
Oh, hey, Miguel. Yeah, hey, guys. Um, okay, so I'd love to hear more about how we can really enact that travel mindset when we're at home. Like right now, we're sheltering in place. A lot of us are not traveling, even though I saw some pretty cheap plane tickets recently. But
Yes.
like, what do you think? What can we do while we're at home?
That's a good question. And this is a really popular question. I think when you're at home, one of the things you can do is maybe get to know your neighborhood. For example, I do morning and evening walks in the neighborhood, and I always go a different route. It's something you can do that's good for your mindset, for your physical health. And let's see, what else can you do? You can read, you can do vision boards, you can write, journal, you can watch travel shows. I mean, like I said, travel is a mindset. So you can still learn about different countries and cultures. And when the time is right again to travel internationally, you can already have in your mind, in 2021 or whenever, this is where I want to go, bing, 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 and you'll have a better idea. So thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, I think that's a real. Yeah, thanks, Ez. I think that's a really good tip, because I think that there's this notion we can't travel, and so we sort of don't even feel like we can think about it. We don't even feel like we can go there at all. But I like that idea of like researching a place. Like for me, before I went to Egypt, I researched it like crazy. I found all the great places I was going to go. I knew where I wanted to go and had an amazing trip. And also I had a layover in Istanbul.
Oh,
So
wow.
so we spent some extra time in Istanbul, and I did my homework on Istanbul. I like learned all about this and that and made sure that we had a great time in Istanbul. And when I was doing it, I didn't already have my plane ticket, and I didn't already know I was going to be in Istanbul, but I saw that a lot of the Turkish Airlines flights were to Cairo by way of Istanbul from like New York City. And so I decided to research Istanbul, and then I actually chose my flight based on that.
Yeah.
So I really like that tip of like researching. And so do you find that at this point, 60 countries,
Yes.
do you find that with work the invitations just come up and you kind of go based on the invitation?
It's been a very long journey to get to 2020 for me personally and professionally. I feel that when I was a young girl and I would watch all these travel shows or international news, I knew at a young age that I wanted to somehow be a bridge or a messenger of the world, like as far as how big and beautiful it is. And when I was 12 years old, I started to write a journal about travel. So I actually started my first travel journal when I was 12 years old. And so what I do is I get my allowance money and go buy disposable cameras, take pictures, journal, develop them, tape them onto these little journals. And I didn't know what I was doing at the time, but I just was like, I need to share this with people. I need people to know how big and beautiful this world is. Even though they all had TVs, they all had all this, I felt like it was kind of my purpose. So from a very young age, I knew that in some capacity, I was going to work within the travel sphere. And I would watch people like Anthony Bourdain or Samantha Brown, and I would just look up to them like so much as a young girl.
I love that so much, and what I just intuitively, I feel like you're just at the beginning of something,
Oh,
as
tell
much
me
as you
more.
I feel like in a lot of ways, it has been a long journey. Obviously, 60 countries. Um, we don't need to talk about our age, but you're obviously young, you know. And
Yeah,
and so
thank you.
I really see, especially in a world that really there's a deeper purpose behind that idea that the world is a big beautiful place. It's not just for pleasure. I really get this like peaceful, multicultural, diplomatic kind of
Oh,
energy from you.
yes, yes, yes. Oh, a
Yeah, and
hundred
so
thousand percent.
do you have you ever thought about policy or diplomacy or ambassadorship?
Oh my gosh, Benjamin, you were like on it. Yes. Um, when I went to the United Nations a couple times for conferences, and when I went, for example, to the United Nations the first time, I felt like I went to Disneyland. I was like, oh my gosh, there's ambassadors here from every country, and like it was like literally like that. And I was like, I want to represent women, and I want to represent, you know, just America, and I want to be like the bridge between America, Mexico, women, etc. So yeah, 100%. It's funny that you say that because every day I'm having global calls with leaders of different countries that want me to see. I'm going to start. You should write a book. So I'm finally going to write a book about travel, self-development, aspiration.
You cut out there for a second.
Yeah.
But okay, let's see. Can we bring her back? Can we will her back? Okay, you're back.
Yes, I'm
Okay,
here.
so yeah, that's definitely aspiration. So tell me a little bit about the book you're working on.
So the book I'm working on is simply, it's super fresh, maybe like literally like not even a full chapter, but in my mind and my heart, it's going to be about travel, but it's also going to be about self-development and basically humanity. So how travel can help unite humanity. And why self-development is so important and why travel is so important, because travel, in my opinion, really helps reduce all the isms that exist, like the racism, the sexism, the ageism, all these stereotypes that exist in different countries and cultures, because that's what we see on the news, that's what we hear. But when people can physically go to that country and see with their own eyes and experience with their own experience, they're like, oh, this is nothing like what I thought. So every country has that. I mean, the US has it. For example, when I was going to go to India, people were saying, oh my gosh, India, be careful, you're going to get sick and this. When I was going to go to Egypt, oh, this. When I was going to go to Mexico, it's every country, there is a fear about it, about something, and a stereotype. But every time it's been proven, every time I keep going to these countries, it's literally nothing like what I've seen on the news. It's always something even more magical. Yes, there is danger in every country, absolutely. And yes, you need to be cautious. But I would say, for example, and we live in Los Angeles, we can turn on the local news and we will see that in our city, there's crime and dangerous people, but yet we still go, we live, we work, we do our thing. That's the same thing, in my opinion. This world has 196 countries. Every country is beautiful, has its culture, history, it's different. And that's why I feel so passionate about when people travel. It makes me happy when people travel. I don't always have to travel to be happy. Like when people tell me they're going to travel, I get excited for them. It's all intrinsic for me. It's all intrinsic. I don't care to be famous. I don't care all that. I don't care. It's not. It's like all intrinsic.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and I definitely sense that with you because you are super diplomatic. And I think that that's really crucial. I think that self-development and travel are both really, really key. Yeah, hey everybody. I think it's super key because as we work on ourselves and make that effort to become clearer, better, wiser, more mature, more advanced, more understanding, more open-minded, more open-hearted, as we do this personal development work. And then we also expose ourselves to other cultures.
Yeah.
We from a neuroscience perspective, we engage our neuroplasticity, and you can really learn, and you can really start to process bigger things. And we've got big problems in the world, like, ladies and gentlemen, in case you weren't aware, like, we've got bigger problems in the pandemic. We've got problems about international relations. We have private public problems.
Oh
We
yeah.
have companies that are manipulating resources and taking advantage of other cultures. I heard something really awful recently where they referred to Bangladesh and Malaysia as slave nations
Oh
to produce
wow.
our cheap clothes, and that's just so not cool.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and so yeah, thanks for your notes, Ainsley. Yeah, so I really agree with you. The self development and travel, it really does go hand in hand.
It's really
Um,
important. Yeah. It's really important too, because to have the open mind that we don't know everything about everyone. For example, when I go to a country, I do my research, but when I sit down and speak with the locals, I am overwhelmed by, like, when I went to Cuba a couple years ago, I was just
mm,
completely overwhelmed with the local Cubans when I sat down and had dinner with them and learned about how, their lifestyle is. At the time, they were saying how the most that they could make was equivalent to 40 to 60 US dollars a month. And they were civil engineers, worked, had many degrees because the education system is free and the health system is free for them. So you can have many degrees, in education, but there's always a cap. So you won't make a certain over, let's say, 60 US dollars a month because it's a communist country. So for me to come and see and hear that, and they were saying also, if they want to go travel to another country, they can only, the only country that they can't, they don't need a visa is Russia and one other country. Everywhere else they need to apply for a tourist visa. And they said that, how long it would take them to make, to save, to get a visa and to save money to travel. And then they looked at me and they're like, what do you do? And I was like, oh my gosh, for the first time in my life, I was really like embarrassed, but I was just so like, I didn't know what to say, because we are so lucky in so many ways. Also, it gives you perspective. It makes you appreciate the fact that maybe right now during this pandemic we can't, but that also makes you appreciate it even more, because I feel like so many people are experiencing, cabin fever, and, they really want to travel. And, now they see that maybe time is of the essence, because hopefully, when this is all, getting a better solution, we can travel again. But I hope people will put that as well on the top of their list, maybe for next year, 2021, hopefully when things get better.
absolutely. And then I also really like that idea of encouraging people to get to know other cultures, even just researching, getting to
Yeah.
know people on social media in other nations.
Yes.
Um,
For example, the
this
other
is
day, yeah, sorry,
mhm.
Benjamin. I just get so excited. The other day, I was interviewed by, he's the president of the Tourism Commission in Iran. So I was interviewed the other day from Iran, and it was so cool for me because it opened my eyes to more of Iran, for example. Like, it was amazing.
Right. What did you learn on that?
I learned from their perspective, like how, they're kind of like an epicenter for what's going on right now. So they were on lockdown again. And they're just saying how they have so much culture and history, and they have a lot of tour guides, and that they would love to have more people visit when the time is right. But what we hear in Iran, for example, in the news, I don't remember seeing anything about culture and history. It's all like just, the bad stuff. So it was
Hmm.
nice to hear from a local, also what else is going on. They have, you know, museums, they have all these other things going on. So, and they want to learn from us, you know, they want to learn and travel. So it's just amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, that's actually what I was thinking, you know, particularly those nations that we've been at war with. It's like send them so much love right now. Send them love in your hearts and in your minds, you know. We've really got to make this big world a little smaller. Because when you're close knit, you can understand each other better, you
Yes.
know, and when you can communicate, when you understand each other, conflict just doesn't arise in the same way, and if it does arise, you can process through it nonviolently.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I feel travel is much more than just a vacation. It is an education. It is immersing yourself. It is like a book, a live book that you can go and experience and travel. That's why I feel like travel is a mindset. Travel is an education. I think it's one of the most beautiful things that anyone can do in their lifetime. And it is where I allocated all my time and money and energy into, because I saw, for example, my grandmother, when she went to the Vatican, the tour bus dropped us off, and she got down on her knees and started to cry, and the Vatican was like 100 feet away, and we were all watching her crying because she's having this like dream come true, and she saw the Vatican, like, was her dream. She came back to Mexico. Within 1 year she had dialysis, and then probably 1 year after she passed away. But during
Mm.
that time, she would talk about to everyone was, "I'm so happy I went to the Vatican." All she talked about. So that was like the highlight for her. And so I saw firsthand how travel can make such an impact, and you know, the memories that you make from travel live on forever. Like I can go back to that moment and visualize her and feel that, and I could start to cry again because it was so beautiful. And I had that experience in Egypt. I mean, I don't know if anyone saw my Egypt video, but Marissa, my sister, and Sarah was there. But I've dreamed of Egypt. I've been fascinated with the ancient Egyptians since a little girl. Maybe I was Egyptian in a past life. I don't know. But I remember that I was like, the bus, you could see the pyramids of Giza in the distance, and I just start crying. And the tour guide literally stopped, and she's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I'm good." I didn't want any attention. I was like just having a moment, because for me, I had tried to go to Egypt so many times and things kept getting in the way. And so for me, it's kind of that, like, you're here, it's going to happen. And then when I saw the pyramids, just crying, tears and tears, but tears of joy, tears of like, oh my gosh, I'm here. Like, this is real. And Egypt has its own magical energy as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I definitely, Egypt is one of those places that I definitely like recommend people checking out, and and experiencing firsthand. I had a similar experience. I don't think I cried, but I was just really overwhelmed. I felt the energy of it when I got to my hotel, and I opened the curtains in my hotel room, and I could see the pyramids from my hotel room.
Yeah.
I was
What?
like,
Yes. Wait, what hotel did you stay at? We might have stayed at the same one.
oh yeah, I was at Mina House.
Okay, no, we didn't stay at the same one. But yeah, same for me. Like, you could see them in the distance.
Oh yeah, where were you? Where'd you stay?
I stayed at the Four Seasons, the residence one, Four Seasons. So there's two. There's one on
Oh
the Nile, and there's another one.
yeah, I went to the one on the Nile, which is so chic,
Yes,
like
yes,
opulent,
yes.
like amazing. Did you do like the Nile cruise and stuff?
Of course, of course. We did the Nile. Sarah, who's here, she was with us, and she's phenomenal. And we did the Nile, which was just like magical. They played music, and we had our own little boat. We had dinner, and
Did
it
you
was
have a belly dancer?
no. What did you?
Yeah, we had a belly dancer. Yeah.
No, we didn't.
Oh, yeah, but that wasn't the highlight for me. Really, the highlight for me was sitting outside on the deck of the boat and just being on the Nile and just experiencing Egypt and just being there. And I had a special crystal. I like dropped a crystal in the river.
Wow, that is amazing.
I was like,
Wow.
I'll be back. Bing.
You know what's so funny? I mean, I didn't do that, but when I was at the pyramids of Giza, I bought little pyramids, and this is what something I meditate with, and I think it's just so amazing. But I will say, when I was in Paris last time, I had a rose in a journal, and I left it in the little garden in front of the Eiffel Tower. Rose too in front of the Eiffel Tower, so like I'm putting it out there.
Oh, I love that. You know, I've never been to Paris. I haven't done quite as much travel as you have. But I'm inspired to. Yeah, I definitely want to. And so do you ever use like language apps to learn a little bit of the language when you go?
You know, I'm still a little old school, so I have my little books, my little like language books and guidebooks. But I have been trying to, like, for now, I'm learning French because my dream is also to live in France. So I'm trying to learn French. But yeah, I just try to go with the basic hello, please, thank you, where's the restroom?
Bathroom.
You know, I try to go with at least toilet, bathroom, just the basics, and then I'll try to, you know, with a guidebook. But I haven't been good with the language apps yet. Yeah.
Well, I think that's a really fun thing that people could do during quarantine. Research a place you might love to go visit, learn about it, and hey, learn some conversational language.
Yes, and something I also love to do, Benjamin, is vision boards. I love vision boards, and I've been doing a couple workshops. I did a virtual one for free for the community as a way just to help during quarantine. If you already have a vision board, you can update it or do a new one. If you've never done a vision board, you can do one with me. For me, it's something like putting destinations. I mean, I have my sisters here. Her vision board. She'll probably kill me for showing, but literally this is her vision board, and
Love it.
it's got all travel on it. So
Totally. Love it.
travel is a mindset, and sometimes, you know, people say I want to travel, and I go, where? I don't know. When? I don't know. How? So it's good to be crystal clear on places you want to go. So if you were to ask me, where do you want to go? I'd say Peru, New Zealand, South Africa, Kenya, Morocco. I mean, I'm like already set on places that I really want to go to post
Yeah.
all this right now.
Yeah, and you will totally go. You're going.
Yay.
It's on. Well, thanks so much for
This
hanging
excites
out
me.
and for giving us this surge of inspiration to explore and to research other countries, to plan and dream and vision board out different trips and vacations and travel, and also to talk about travel as a mindset and travel as actually a really important higher purpose. So self-development and its relationship to travel and their relationship to international relations.
Yes, I really feel travel will help bring us closer. And also, one more thing, Benjamin, travel, the more you travel, the more, in my experience, I realize we all want the same things at the end of the day. We all want to be happy. We all want to be loved. We all want to do whatever career we want. We want to be appreciated. I mean, genuinely, we want the same things. It may look different, like happiness looks different, but we want the same things. The more I travel, every country has showed me the same thing. We all just want to be happy and loved and appreciated. I mean, really, we're humans. That's it, you know? So.
Yeah, love it. Well, thank you so much, Jeanette. Everyone, go follow her, Jet Set with Jeanette. She's got awesome, fun content and does free
Yay.
workshops occasionally and that kind of stuff. So let's all stay in touch.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thanks for hanging out. Great to see you,
Of course.
Jeanette. Bye,
You too.
everybody. See you
Bye.
soon.